Hello, you're welcome to Power Apps ABC with Kenechukwu. And in this session, we'll be looking how we can create our pop-ups with Power Apps. All right, without wasting much time, let's see what we're trying to achieve in this session. So usually, if a user fills out this form and they want to submit, you can just fill and you select and and input your records or data. You select your date and you include a file, then you click on the submit button. It submits directly to the data source. But sometimes people mistakenly submit their form, so that is why we had to add a pop-up. So pop-up will help you to at least handle those kind of scenarios. So there will be a question like, are you sure you want to submit this form? All right, so for this use case now, if I click on the submit button, it won't submit directly. I would see something like, are you sure you want to submit this form? Are you sure you want to delete this request? Are you sure you want to edit, depending on your use case? All right, so for this use case, we're just trying to create a pop-up. This is just showing us the art of the possible, what we can actually achieve with Power Apps. So I won't be creating everything from scratch like the boxing. I will just be copying and pasting, but I will show you how I was able to achieve this with Power Apps. Without wasting much time, let's get started. So once I click on the yes, my item gets submitted to my back end and it sets my pop-up to false. You see, form submitted successfully. If I log out, I go back to create a new form. I come back here. For instance, I did not add any validation, so my buttons are still editable. So you can actually set condition that if this text input is blank, the button should be disabled. But for now, I did not add any of those. So for instance, I click on the submit button and I say no. If you cancel it, brings you back here. All right. So to do that, I just remove this from the play or preview mode. Then we'll be adding a new screen just to do this. All right. This one. All right. We'll be adding a new screen to do this. Let me add a new screen since we are building from scratch. So new screen, I'll be adding a blank screen and okay. So the next thing is adding a button. So let's add our button. Insert a button. So I'm adding a classic button here. So I'll just drag this below. So on click of this button, currently it's false. So we'll now set a variable. We'll call it so say use the set function, setting it's a global function set. I'll call it var. The one I'm using is var show pop up. Let's call it var. We'll just call it var pop. Let's call it var show. Okay, let's call it var show for this one. You just have to name it something you can actually, when you want to maybe debug your code, you can remember. So we are setting it to true. So what we are saying is when you click on this button, we are setting this variable to true, and that is what we are going to add in our modal for our pop-up modal. You know, the modal is what covers, for instance, let's go to our new request screen. If you did not add a modal to this, once the pop-up shows up, you can still interact with this data card, which is not a good user experience. So the modal will help you to cover the data card so that the user cannot interact or fill any of those when the pop-up is on. So that's one of the importance of using of the modal. So for the modal, I will just say insert a container. We'll be using a container. Some persons use rectangle. So for this, we are using a container. I'll be using a vertical responsive container. So the width, we just want it to cover the entire screen. So we say width. We make the width parent dot width. The width should be parent dot width. Then the height should be parent dot height also. The height, go to the height. Height should be parent dot height. Parent dot height. So it covers the entire height. So you can see this is it. It's not well balanced. So you just go to the x and y and set it to 0. So the x, I'm setting the x to 0 and also the y to 0. So with that, it would. All right, you can see it's now fitting proper. So the next thing is just to remove the border. Since we are using container, I'm taking out the border radius. I don't need the drop shadow for now. So I'm setting it to none. My border, I'm setting it to none. So I don't need the border. So you wouldn't know if I play this, if I preview, you wouldn't know that there is a container here. All right. So we want on click of this button, we want to set this to be visible. This is our modal. So the next thing is we'll just add a field. So for this now we have to rename it so that it won't be confusing. Container modal. I'll just call it modal because I've used it before. I can call it my modal, container modal, so you understand what you're trying to do. So the next thing is to add on the field of this container. Go to the field property. I think currently this is the field, so I want to make it 0.3. 0.3. Point 0.3. 0.5. Let's sorry 0.5. It's not, I want to make it a little bit transparent. Alright, let's just go to this our new, this is the modal here and the field. Let's just go to the field. This is it. So we just get it to be a little bit transparent. It's the same thing, I don't know why. Alright, this is it. So probably because there is no text input here, it's 0.3. Or let me make use of this my landing screen, this one that has okay, let's make use of this one here, this screen here. So I'll be adding a button. I'll just come here and copy that button. Copy, I want to copy it, then come to this screen 2. We'll be working with screen 2. I'll paste that button here. So this is the button. Then I'll come here also, that modal that we container modal, I'll also copy it. Come to screen 2 and paste it. Alright, so it looks, you feel like it. So now this is our modal. So the next thing we want to add that container to, which will be housing. Are you sure you want to submit this form? Alright, so do that inside this modal container. Remember, we already have some controls in this screen prior to now. So the next thing is just to insert container. We'll give it a white field. So we'll still be using a vertical container, but this time around we'll make the height not to be, we'll turn off the flexible height. I'll turn it off, then go to the field. Then go to the field. I want to make it color.white. White. Alright, you can see the, so we need to resize the width. The height is currently, let's make it 350. Height is 350, then the width, we can make the width 550. So it depends on your use case. So now the next thing is to go to the parent container, which is this container modal. Then we want to align this to the center. We want to see, align this vertically. We want to align it to the center. Then horizontal alignment. So our pop-up is now on the center. So you can rename this to, you can rename it to content, container content. I don't want to say content container because I already have. So let's call it content or main container. Just give it a name that you can actually relate with. All right, once you've added this container, the next thing is just to add those two. We had the header and the, so we just, inside of this, we just insert another container just for the header, that color container. You can use a rectangle or you can use a non-responsive container, any one you want to use. We call it, so we rename it to container header. You give it, we turn off the flexible height. Flexible height, we turn it off. We give it a height of 70. Then we turn off to remove the border radius. We don't need it. This also set it to none. But drop shadow, we are setting it to none. So the next thing is just to um, the feel of it. We'll just go to fill. So I already have a field defined, which is my primary field. So once I type on start of my application, I already have a primary field. So this is it. So this is my field. So the next thing is to add another container just for the content, which will be housing the text label. Are you sure you want to? Are you sure you want to submit this record? All right. So having done this, okay. Remember the other one has a border radius, so we can just come here and increase it to 15. Then the drop shadow, the other one also has a drop shadow. You can make it bold. So once I play this, if I play this now, you can see how it is looking. So the next thing is to add the container for our content that will be asking, are you sure you want to? All right. So this is the header. This is the main container. So I want to add another container. I'll now go to insert, call it container. I'm using a vertical container. If you're using horizontal, it will be placing the item side by side. But if you're using vertical, it will place it on top of each other. So this is the container. So I want to turn off the flexible height so that we can give it a height. Also, I want to do what? Also turn off the border, take out the border radius, take out the border, set it to none. Then the drop shadow, I'm setting it to none. So if I play this, you can see there is a container, but it's not showing. If the border is still there, you will be seeing. Let me add the border so you see why it is good to take out. So let's click on this container, go to the border, and leave it at that 4. Border, it was 4. Let's set it to 4, and it is solid. So when you play this, you can see the border. It's not really cool. So that is why it's also always, depending on what you're trying to achieve, turn the border off, take it out. All right, so I'm taking the border, setting it to none. So the next thing is, we know we have a button. We can choose to just to resize this container. I'll copy the name of this one. This is container header. I'll Control C. Then I'll go to this. Want to set this height. We now say parent.height minus this container, so it will cover the remaining space. All right, so we'll go to the height. Once I go to the height now, I'll just say the height. Instead of saying 200, I'll say parent.height minus this container, which is the header dot height. So you can see it's now taking the remaining space. So the next thing is to add a text label. Text label. So I'll add it. I'll give it a width of parent.width. I want it to take the entire space, parent.width. So the text will now set it. Are you sure you want to submit this form? So the text now will be, are you sure? Are you sure you want to submit to? Are you sure you want to submit this form? Sorry, question mark. Are you sure you want to submit this form? I want to change the, give it the height. Let's increase the height. So let's align it, set it to the center. So this is it. We can choose to increase it. If you want to change it to 15, so it will be bold. If you want to make it 16. All right, are you sure you want to submit? Let's go to it 15. Are you sure you want to submit this form? So the next thing is those two buttons, yes and no. So if I play this, you can see, are you sure you want to submit this? You can see this is closer to the top, so we can add padding top so that it can bring it down a little. We can click on this padding top, give it a padding top. You can give it a padding of, let's go with 15. So you can see it's a little bit, you can increase it to 20 if you want it to come down. All right, are you sure you want to? Depending on how you want it. Okay, let's work with this. So the next thing is to add those containers with those two buttons. So you can just add those buttons, but we can just copy, since we understand how it works. I can just copy those buttons and just paste it here, so we don't spend much time. You already know. Just go to this one here. If I click on submit, it comes up. This is the container I copy. I just copy it. So I come to this screen too, this container here, and paste it. So we have our two pastes. So we have pasted. So the next thing is to give it a gap so that they can be spaced apart. You can give it a gap of 10 and see how it looks. You can give it a gap of 30. Okay, if you can give it a gap of 25 or 20, you want it closer. So this is our pop-up. Are you sure you want to submit this form? Yes or no? So if you click on the yes, it gets submitted. If you click on the no, it gets submitted. So now here is the magic where we'll be turning on and turning off this with that variable we set. Remember, on that button, on this button, we initiated, or we set a variable. We call it var show to true. So now on click of that button, we want to set this to true. Then on click of this no button, set it to false. So the next thing, we just go to this button. On click of this, you know, I used it for the other pop-up. So the name of this current one is Varshow. I think it's Varshow. So Varshow, I'm setting it to false. Control C. Then go to this same yes. So for this same yes, depends on what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to submit a form, you submit your form. Then for this, I submitted the form, I refreshed, then I set it to false. So since I'm not submitting for this case, I'll just take out this part. I'll clear it. So what I'm doing is just setting it to false. I'm just setting it to false. So what you do, you perform your action, the action you want to do. I want to comment it out. So you perform your action on the yes part. Let's say you want to, you do your coding. Then after doing it, then the next thing is to set the variable to false. So if I go now and I want to be sure. Alright, so the next thing is to play and see. Okay, let's play this and see. So once you click on no, you should set it to false. Once you click on, so we need to be sure whether the way we declare that variable. So I need to go to this button here and check what we set there. So you go to that button, this button here. So we go to that button. We'll go to the button just to be very sure. Alright, this is it here. So let me just Control V here and set it to true. So on click of this button, we are setting it to true. So we copy this, Control C. Then we go to the modal, that is the container that is housing the whole pop-up. We'll now set the visibility. This is what will be changing the visibility of that container. Instead of just setting it to true, it will be depending on the button that is being clicked. It will be dependent on the button that is being clicked. So if you click on this button, it sets the visibility to true. If you click the other button, it sets it to false. So currently it is false. So if I play this now and click on this button, you can see it says, are you sure you want to submit this form? Once you click on yes, it performs the action, then set it to false. Once you click on false, it sets it to no. So once you click on this, it sets the pop-up visibility value to true. Once you click on no, it sets it to false. So this is how I was able to achieve this. And with this in mind, you can actually work with any pop-up or para pop-up you want to build or achieve. It is achievable. It is achievable. Give it a try. Please, if you derive value from this, give me just click the like button and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.